What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got a fun one. It's been a long time coming. We have a U2 Top 10 brought to us by our patron, longtime supporter, and friend of the channel, Gerard. Thank you, Gerard, for taking the time and the monumental task of compiling a U2 Top 10. Before we get started, guys, give this a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon link below. It's patrons like Gerard that allows us to put out content every single day. Let's just jump into this. And I'm going to warn you ahead of time. This one's going to be a long one because I'm a big fan of U2. There's a lot of research, and we're going to do this one some justice. So first off, I always like to say what the patron thinks. So Gerard included a lot of stuff here. Gerard says, the problem with choosing a U2 top 10 list is it's always going to be a very unsurprising and predictable list. This is because at least 7 of the songs to be included are nailed on certainties that would be universally agreed by both hardcore fans who have every album and the casual fan that only has one of the greatest hits albums. On the other hand, part of the reason for this predictability is that these top 7 or so songs are stone cold greatest songs of all time songs that even the hardest of U2 haters, in parentheses, and there are many of those in the world, would have to concede are great songs. U2 is a band that divides opinion like just about everything else these days. You got that right, Gerard. Between those who really love them and really hate them. I do believe a lot of the hate stems from Bono's extracurricular activities, his preaching, and what can fairly be described as his hypocrisy in, for example, lecturing the world on poverty and global wealth, and then moving his business interests to Holland to avoid paying taxes. I don't know if that's hypocrisy or just smart, quite honestly, but I acknowledge and accept a lot of the reasons people take against him, but it takes courage to stick your neck out for causes you believe in, despite the risk to your reputation, and regardless of what one thinks about individual issues or how he approaches them, his heart is definitely in the right place. I could not agree more, and that counts a lot. And to the young people watching this video in 2035, hey, I hope we're still around then, right? Hopefully this serves as a perfect introduction to the music of U2. And just a little bit of my research, they're an Irish rock band from Dublin, formed in 1976. You have Bono on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, The Edge on lead guitar, does some keyboards and backing vocals. Got the great Adam Clayton on guitar, or bass guitar, I should say, and Larry Mullen Jr. on the drums and percussion. Of course, same 4 guys all this time. They have 14 studio albums, one of the best-selling musical artists in the world, between 150 and 170 million sold. They've won 22 Grammys, more than any other band. 2005, they went in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in their first year of eligibility, and Rolling Stone magazine ranked them as 22 on their list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. Before we dive into this, the music will not be in the video. However, if you will look at a link below, you can follow along if you want to listen to all these songs and enjoy them with me. If you just want to know what I think, just stick around here. I'm going to have the lyrics up. As always, all that housekeeping is out of the way. So let's check out song number 10. We have Numb. And this is a song, I don't know all these songs because I really like U2, but I don't have all U2's albums. I haven't listened to all U2's albums, so I'm not some super fan. I consider the Joshua Tree and Octone Baby among the 100 greatest albums of all time. I know, argue with me. We did an RTTC list that the community put together that I'll link at the end of this video. Only one of those is in that list. Spoiler alert. This comes from Zooropa in 1993. Gerard says, having stated how predictable this list would be, this very first song on the list is not one that many would have included. I think it's considered a bit of a throwaway song in the U2 canon, not least because The Edge is on lead vocals, and the video was certainly a funny video. It's an interesting song. I would say a very 90s sounding song, utilizing samples and synths, which provided a very industrial, almost non-music effect, and is then coupled with Edge's downbeat, monotonal vocal delivery and the series of commands for living, quote, all of them telling us that what we shouldn't be doing. I wouldn't listen to an entire album of this, but as a one-off song, it works just fine. It's interesting, original, and despite the effects used, is actually catchy and melodic. My research just told me this was the lead single off the album. The monotonous mantra of don't commands spoken by guitarist The Edge amidst a backdrop of various sound effects and samples. The noisy composition and lyrical concept were inspired by the theme of sensory overload. Maybe I ought to turn these lights on strobe, which had prominently been incorporated in the Zoo TV tour. Bono and Larry provide backing vocals. It originated as a discarded song from the Octone Baby recording sessions called Down All the Days. Gerard, once again, thank you for putting this together. Let's kick this thing off with Numb. Numb. What an interesting way to kick this top 10 off. I've never heard this song. It is definitely different. I don't even know what I think of it. I'm always honest. I don't know. I really like Bono's part when he comes in. I feel numb. It's very catchy. And the song itself is just kind of, it pulls you in. It just an industrial song, very much so, except for that chorus part, and just a whole series of don'ts. And I'm not going to read all the lyrics, but some of the don'ts are move, talk out of time, think, worry, everything's just fine, grab, clutch, hope for too much, breathe, achieve, grieve without leave. It's almost just a constant, free flow of stuff that some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. Plead, bridle, shackle, grind, curve, swerve. But I did enjoy it. I saw in here that on the keyboards, Eno was on here along with, or on the synth, Eno along with the Edge. So Brian Eno coming in here, always a constant popping in and out of U2's life. So a good way to start this out because it is different. Now we're going to move on to the next one. From the All That You Can't Leave Behind album in 2000, Wild Honey. Gerard said an album that in many ways saved U2, I think, and proved that their best work was not all behind them, both commercially and critically, though critics will never be too kind to them generally. This is true. This selection is an album track that isn't as well known, but is certainly among the high points of the album. I've heard it described as a Beatlesque song, and I guess that's true, though every band based on guitars and drums since about 1966 could be described as Beatles influenced to some degree. Very well put, Gerard. Very melodic song with the acoustic guitar as the foundation, sweet vocal harmony, and an uplifting warm core to the song. An underrated gem, and there won't be many underrated songs as we move up the list. I found, according to The Edge, this song broke up the album before the next track, Peace on Earth, and its placement in the running order was a misjudgment, he said. The guitarist compared the song with the Beatles, there we go, Obla-Dee, Obla-Da. There's a lot of debate about whether or not it should be included on the album, but producer Brian Eno loved it and thought it was like a Van Morrison song, and Bono wanted it on the album, saying, quote, it was playful and broke the mood. Call it a sorbet between courses. Very well, very good way to put that. And it's also featured on the 2001 Tom Cruise film, Vanilla Sky. Let's go, Wild Honey. Wild Honey. I had never heard this song. I own this CD, but, you know, back in the day, I just spun sing. I mean, I know Beautiful Day, Stuck in a Moment You Can't Get Out of, Elevation, Walk On, but I guess I never made it all the way to track 7 where Wild Honey is. Daniel Lanois jumps in for additional guitar here, so we had Eno jumping in on the synth on the last one now. Daniel's jumping in on this one. A sweet song, a restrained vocal by Bono, except for the bridge portion where he sounds fantastic, but he sounds great in all of it. A love song. In the days when we were swinging from the trees, I was a monkey, stealing honey from a swarm of bees I could taste you even then, and I would chase you down the wind. You could go there if you please, Wild Honey, and if you go there, go with me, Wild Honey. So that's where the Wild Honey, because unless you're the Beatles, there's not a lot of honey songs out there, right? Inside joke if you know our feelings towards the Beatles and the different honey songs. Did I know you? Did I know you even then before the clocks kept time? So did I know you way back when, from time immemorial? I'm still standing where you left me. Are you still growing wild with everything tame around you? I send you flowers, cut flowers for your hall. I know your garden's full, but is there sweetness at all? A really nice track, you know, not what you would expect on a top 10. I didn't know either one of these first two songs, but I do know the next track, Desire, from the Rattle and Hum album in 1988. This was the follow-up to the iconic Joshua Tree and did not have, obviously, the same commercial impact that the Joshua Tree did. But Gerard says, one of the many things I really like about this song is that it's a good example of what Larry brings to U2. I find, and as someone who doesn't play the drums myself, he more often than not brings an interesting drum style to their songs. It's pretty much never a straightforward 4/4 drum beat, merely there to time. There's always a punchiness or a style which almost always serves as a pounding, driving engine to the songs, which is a very good point. And while it doesn't always stand out above the guitar work or vocal delivery in their songs, it's always interesting. And you can't say that about many drummers. This is true, Gerard. In many ways, I feel Larry's the heartbeat of the band. Adam, with his often flamboyant dress and model dating, Edge with 500 pedal effects and sonic nerd/geekiness, Bono, well, no need to explain Bono. Larry keeps the band grounded while driving them forward. The lyrics are fairly are fairly a throwaway, but fun nonetheless. The guitar riff is reliably great. I love the bluesy raw vocal style, but for me, it's a drumming that elevates it. I found it was the lead single, first number one single in the UK, which surprised me. Nothing off the Joshua Tree or any of the previous stuff did that. And first number one in Australia. Did win the Grammy, one of those 22 I mentioned at the start, for best rock performance by a duo or group with a vocal. And U2 cites the Stooges song 1969 as the primary influence on this song. I didn't know the first two songs. I don't know the next song, but I do know this one. We even get that harmonica in there to end that song. Of course, it has that little Bo Diddley beat driving in there. I think the thing with this song is I'm very familiar with it. I was always surprised it was released as a single. I think it's a really good song. I think the vocals are strong. The instrumentation is the star everywhere, from Larry's drumming to the guitar work. But I always thought it was an odd choice. I don't think it's a real commercial sounding song, but maybe that's just me. It did go to number 3 in the US as well as the other chart success it had. And basically just saying all these ways he desires her. She's a candle burning in my room. Yeah, I'm like the needle and spoon. You know, she's like a drug to me, heroin. Over the counter with a shotgun. Pretty soon everybody's got one. I'm in a fever when I'm beside her. Desire. Fever's getting higher. So, you know, not anything great lyrically. Bono has a lot of stuff great lyrically. This isn't necessarily great lyrically, but I don't think it's the point. I think it would be best taken in live, which was kind of the idea. But I do enjoy it. And like I said, I did know this one. But now we're going to get to the last song on this list that I do not know. From the Pop album in 1997, Staring at the Sun, Gerard says, an underrated gem from a very maligned album at the time, and given the current fashion for anniversary re-releases with expanded double vinyl bonus material, it is telling that not a lot of fuss was made for the anniversary of pop in 2017. At the height of Britpop and at the end of the 90s, music revival trying to prove that they were still a present concern rather than a heritage act, and that is hard to do the longer you're around. Back in 97, the difference between a heritage act and a current relevant act was one put out an album to announce they were going on tour, and the other went on tour to announce that they had an album out. Gerard always has great insight. Pop was a bit of a bloated album full of effects and decorations to sell itself to the youth of the time, and is not an album that will be mentioned among their best. However, there were some high moments on the album, and Staring at the Sun is certainly the high point for me. It's a great image for a lyric. This is the lyric. I'm not the only one staring at the sun, afraid of what you'd find if you took a look inside. It suggests to me an outsider, maybe someone considered an oddball or a crank, but someone with conviction and integrity, or maybe someone stubborn, willing to blind themselves to prove themselves right. Overall, the lyrics are abstract enough to open to interpretation. Great melody, great chorus. I found it was the second single of this album. 3 in the UK, 1 in Canada and Iceland, 26 in the US. The song was written with the line, quote, stuck together with God's glue, which was taken directly from the title of the album by the Irish band Something Happens, who are good friends with U2. The band felt the song was a potential anthem to rival One. Now that is quite the statement. The song has been compared to the work of Oasis. All right, that is quite the build-up, both from Gerard and from my research, so let's check this one out. There you have it, Staring at the Sun, coming in at number 7 on the list. I like this song the more it went on. One of the ones I'd never heard before. At first, I really wasn't feeling it. The chorus part is really nice. Bono sounds really good on that. The lyrics are very abstract to me. You may know what this means inside and out. To me, they're very abstract, but the chorus is great. It goes from, I'm not the only one staring at the sun, to the one staring at the sun, to you're not the only one staring at the sun. So I do like that progression. I always like it when artists have a progression in the chorus to have different focuses. So afraid of what you find if you step back inside. I'm not sucking my thumb staring at the sun. Not the only one who's happy to go blind. So what does that mean exactly? I don't know. You stare at the sun long enough, they tell you that bright light will make you go blind. Maybe he doesn't want to see what's around him. Maybe he's just enjoying the beauty there. I don't really know, but a pretty good offering there. Like I said, I'd never heard it. So in comparison to the next 6 songs, it's not going to be anywhere in the same league just because I don't know the familiarity of it. And now we're up to the top 6. Gerard had said many of these songs would be on anybody's list. What do we got next? We got Pride in the Name of Love. If you're any sort of music fan, not just U2 fan, you're really going to know the rest of these, I would think. This is from the Unforgettable Fire in 1984. Gerard says, from here forward on this list, the only real debate will be in what order the songs should be ranked. probably agree with that. And while 6 might seem like a fairly low ranking for such a great song, it has to be remembered what songs are coming next. Boy, Gerard, we see that a million times. People comment on our own personal ranking videos. This should be much higher. I'm like, well, what are you going to knock down then? It's a tough thing. Apparently, when the song was released as a single in 1984, it got a fairly mixed response, to which I can only ask, what were they smoking? Is it possibly the first major step the band took as moral preachers, which, as we know, doesn't go down well with everyone, but this absolutely rocks. From, of course, the iconic opening guitar bars to the driving, pounding percussion to the roaring chorus, the song's famously written about Martin Luther King Jr., but although the verses are pretty directly about that, the chanting, repeated chorus in the name of love, one more in the name of love, seems like a call to arms for the very best of humanity, a call to love rather than a call to arms, perhaps. Iconic. My research, and there's a lot of research on all of these songs from here on in, so bear with me. Lead single 388 on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. The melody and chords were improvised by U2 during a sound check prior to a November 1983 concert in Hawaii on the band's War Tour. The Edge led the group in a series of chord changes during the sound check, but after someone made a mistake, the other members picked up on it and changed course, providing a, quote, new twist to the improvisation. After the tour concluded, the group continued to work on the track at Bono's home, where the Edge devised a guitar part for the song. The song had been intended to be based on Ronald Reagan, who was the president at the time, his pride in America's military power, and he did have that. But Stephen Oates' book, Let the Trumpet Sound, a life of Martin Luther King Jr. and a biography of Malcolm X, caused the lyricist Bono to ponder the different sides of the civil rights campaigns, the violent and the nonviolent. In subsequent years, Bono has expressed his dissatisfaction with the lyrics, which he describes along with another unforgettable Fire song, Bad, as being left as simple sketches. He said that he was swayed by the Edge and producers Brian and Daniel, who played down the need to develop the lyrics, as they thought their impressionistic nature would give added forcefulness to the song's feelings, particularly when heard by non-English speakers. In U2 by U2, Bono said, "I look at how glorious that song was and thought, what the F is that all about? It's just a load of vowel sounds ganging up on a great man. It's emotionally very articulate if you didn't speak English." The song contains the erroneous reference to King's shooting on as early morning April 4th, when it actually occurred at 6 p.m. Bono acknowledges the error, and in live performances he often changes the lyric to early evening. Another little tidbit, I'm almost done, I promise. Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders sang backup vocals on the recording. She was married to Jim Kerr of Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, at the time, and she is credited as Christine Kerr. Nice little hidden gem there. Let's get after this one. Pride in the Name of Love. What an iconic song, my goodness. I'm realizing what I already knew what Gerard said. It is really tough to get your top 6. Wow. Yeah. And what some of these lines are about, we don't really know. It could be a lot of things. One man came in the name of love. One man come and go. One man come, he justify. One man to overthrow. All these different motives we have as men, especially in this world. And a lot of them are of selfish gain, right? In the name of love, what more in the name of love? One man caught on a barbed wire fence, one he can resist. One man washed up on an empty beach. One man betrayed with a kiss. Pretty common. He's talking about Jesus there, betrayed by Judas's kiss when they came and took him. In the name of love, what more in the name of love? And then we get this nice little harmonizing break, little vocal runs by Bono. And just, I'll tell you what, everything on this song works between the power of his voice, the lyrics, the drums by Larry, the bass, the guitar, it all works, man. And then we get into the MLK part. Free at last, they took your life. They could not take your pride. And then in the name of love, what more in the name of love? Just a great song, man. I don't know what else to say about it. The lyrics are really top notch on there. And I mean, Bono's going to grow in lyricism as we go on in this list. And now we come to number 5, the iconic Where the Streets Have No Name, of course, from the Joshua Tree in 1987, the first cassette. Yes, I'm dating myself here. The first cassette of U2 that I own. Gerard said, this song is almost like an opera with distinct sections throughout, from the opening organ sounds, the guitar changes, the pounding, driving percussion, the great lyrics, the extended outro. It serves as a great example of the Edge's signature guitar style, that jangle delayed echo style that was truly his own, to the point where on every song he played, if you hear a 10-second snippet of a guitar phrase, almost anyone could identify it as the Edge. while he never tried to be the fastest fingers in the West type of guitar hero. I like that. Nor is he ever really engaged in soaring solos where he distinguishes himself is sonically. He goes after hooks and tones and riffs that serve the song and serve as his contribution to rock and roll. For that endeavor, he's earned his place as one of the greatest guitarists. This song perfectly exemplifies his talents in the intro, the body of the song, and the outro. Nothing especially complicated that couldn't be achieved by a fairly mediocre guitar player with an effects pedal or two, but the fact is Edge pioneered the sound and made it his own, and for that, I tip my hat. Very well said, Gerard. I found Bono wrote the lyrics in response to the notion that it is possible to identify a person's religion and income based on the street on which they lived, particularly in Belfast. It was performed on a Los Angeles rooftop for the filming of its music video, which won a Grammy Award for Best Performance Music Video. Little throwback to the Beatles in 1970s rooftop concert is what that reminds me of, obviously. Music originated from a demo that the Edge composed, realizing that the album sessions were approaching the end and the band were short on exceptional live songs. See, he's thinking live, man. The instrumentation guys are always thinking live performance. He wanted to, quote, conjure up the ultimate U2 live song, and he felt he had come up with the most amazing guitar part and song of his life. A little bit of what Gerard mentioned. Rolling Stone ranked as a 28 on its list of 100 greatest guitar songs of all time. So somebody agrees out there. Love them, like them, hate them. Rolling Stone agreed. Although the band liked the demo, it was difficult for them to record the song. The arrangement with 2-time signature shifts and frequent chord changes was rehearsed many times, but the group struggled to get a performance they liked. Co-producer Daniel Lanois said, "That was the science project song. I remember having this massive blackboard holding a pointer like a college professor, walking the band through the chord changes. It was ridiculous." Co-producer Brian Eno estimates that half, this is crazy, because this is an iconic album. It's way up there on the RTTC Top 100 Albums of All Time, and way up on my list. Eno estimates half of the album sessions were spent trying to record a suitable version of this song. During the band's difficulties recording the song, Eno considered erasing the song's tapes to have them start from scratch. Bono, who compared many of his lyrics prior to the Joshua Tree to sketches, said that it is more like the U2 of old than any of the other songs on the LP because it's a sketch. I was just trying to sketch a location, maybe a spiritual location, maybe a romantic location. I was trying to sketch a feeling. I know that's a long intro to that, but this album's iconic. The first 3 songs are absolutely unbelievable. We do have a review of it. Go check it out after we're done with this, of course. Let's do this. Wow. All right. Wow. I don't fanboy out too much. If you watch this channel all the time, you know that. I've been accused of being a little tough on things sometimes. That song is just everything works, and Gerard's introduction talking about the Edge's guitar work is spot on. But I mean, Larry Mullen Jr. Really low key on this one. I don't ever hear any hype for him on this song, and his drumming is absolutely fantastic throughout. The lyrics, you know, while they are somewhat abstract, they're wonderful. The vocal performance by Bono, restrained, comes in when he needs to pretty hard, but, you know, pretty even, so you can just let the instrumentation. It is just honestly a work of art. I absolutely love that song. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of breakdown of the lyrics. We're still in the chorus where the streets have no name. We're still building and burning down love, right? We build it up and then we destroy it, burning down love. And when I go there with you. It's all I can do. The city's a flood and our love turns to rust. We're beaten and blown by the wind, trampled in dust. I'll show you a place high on a desert plain where the streets have no name. So come with me out of this mess. Wow, what a song. What are we going to follow that up with, man? That's what you're wondering. Well, wonder no more, because you see it below. Number 4, The Unforgettable Fire, from the album, of course, of the same name in 1984. Gerard said, another epic, broad in scope and ambition, an echoey dark atmosphere with excellent vocal delivery. Quite a different style to their other big hits. I think you can certainly hear the influences of producer Brian Eno's sonic interests, and perhaps an influence in the production from the New Romantics movement that was probably peaking around the time this was recorded. It retains the big sound and style of a great U2 song. Again, of course, great lyrics. Second single went to 6 in the UK. Third top 10 hit there. The band cited an art exhibition by victims of the atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki that was held at the Peace Museum in Chicago as the lyrical inspiration for the song. The song, like many tracks from The Unforgettable Fire, is an atmospheric composition with ambient use of guitar and a string arrangement by Irish jazz musician Noel Callahan. The song evolved from a short piano composition that guitarist The Edge had written during a demo session with Jimmy Destry from the band Blondie. All that last part was courtesy of my research. Let's get into the second song so far on this list from The Unforgettable Fire. Remember, the first one was Pride in the Name of Love. This is the title track, The Unforgettable Fire, the title track to the album, The Unforgettable Fire, coming in at number 4. I think the lyricism is a perfect example of what Bono was talking about when I was reading what he said in an interview on the previous song, Where the Streets Have No Name, where a lot of the older songs that he wrote were more sketches and not exactly particular to a subject. I think this song fits in that. Obviously, I read that the research, and the research is about the visit to the museum and the Nagasaki and the Hiroshima, atomic bombs. And I think you can see that at the start. It's ice, your only rivers run cold. These city lights, they shine as silver and gold. Dug from the night, your eyes as black as coal. Walk on by, walk on through. Walk till you run and don't look back, for here I am. And all these different kind of, brings these vivid images to your head. I think I mentioned it during the song, but Larry Mullen Jr.'s drumming in there was fantastic. Just a nice version of U2 right before they hit huge. It was a few years before, but album right before they hit huge with the Joshua Tree. Now we go on to number 3, and we have Sunday, Bloody Sunday, the opening track of the War album in 1983. Gerard says, an iconic song from the opening rat-tat-tat of the snare drum, producing both a marching beat and the sound of bullets, to the original memorable guitar strains, to the wonderful lyrics. Bono has said notably and many times this is not a rebel song or a song of war or division. This is a song that says enough is bloody enough. The lines, quote, how long must we sing this song, are the center of the song. What elevates the song is that the lyrics are timeless, universal, and thoroughly heartfelt. The inspiration for the song is a very specific incident, but the genius of it is that the words are applicable the world over, unfortunately, Gerard puts. Above all else, it is simply a great song. The instrumentation, including a cameo by Steve Wickham, later of the Waterboys, on fiddle, is sublime and one of those U2 songs instantly recognizable the world over. It's 272 on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. Went to number 3 in the Netherlands. In the U.S., the song gained significant album-oriented airplay, and together with the earlier New Year's Day, finally put U2 on the map a little bit in America. One of U2's most overtly political songs, its lyrics describe the horror felt by an observer of the troubles in Northern Ireland, mainly focusing on the 1972 Bloody Sunday incident in Derry, where British troops shot and killed unarmed civil rights protesters. It grew from a guitar riff and lyric written by The Edge in 1982. Bono and Ali were on their honeymoon in Jamaica, while The Edge worked on the music in Ireland for this upcoming album. Following an argument with his girlfriend, The Edge felt really depressed and kind of doubted his own songwriting. So he kind of took it out on this song. He kind of started writing some stuff here. It didn't have a title or a chorus melody, but it did contain a structural outline and theme. After Bono had reworked the lyrics, they recorded it in Dublin. A local violinist, as I mentioned, who would later on go to the Waterboys, Steve Wickham, approached The Edge one morning at a bus stop and asked if U2 had any need for a violin on their next album. You gotta love that, man. In the studio for only half a day, his electric violin became the final instrumental contribution to the song. You just gotta love having that courage, right? And then Larry said of the song in 1983, we're into the politics of people, we're not into politics. Like you talk about Northern Ireland, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, people sort of think, oh, that time when 13 Catholics were shot by British soldiers. That's not what the song is about. That's an incident, it's the most famous incident in Northern Ireland, and it's the strongest way of saying how long. How long do we have to put up with this? I don't care who's who, Catholics, Protestants, whatever. You know, people are dying every single day through bitterness and hate, and we're saying why? What's the point? And you can move that into places like El Salvador, which was really a hotbed at this time in 1983, and other similar situations, people dying. Let's forget the politics. Let's stop shooting each other and sit around the table and talk about it. There are a lot of bands taking sides, saying politics is crap, etc. Well, so what? The real battle is people dying. That's the real battle. And then also I found the band has said the lyrics refer to the events of both Bloody Sunday in 1972 and Bloody Sunday in 1920, but are not specifically about either event. It takes a standpoint of someone horrified by the cycle of violence in the province. I know this song. This is actually Young Sean's. I was 11 or 12 years old when this song came out. It was in heavy rotation on MTV, so I would see this song all the time in 1983. It was at the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado. I thought two things. One, I would love to see a concert there, and two, I hate this song. Right? 11, 12-year-old Sean was not mature enough to appreciate the beauty of this song, but I like it a lot more now. Let's check out number 3, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. The powerful Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Just a great tune. The lyricism, talks about what I just talked about in the beginning of the song. Verse 1 starts out, I can't believe the news today. Oh, I can't close my eyes and make it go away. And then, of course, how long must we sing this song? How long? Because tonight we can be as one tonight, and then kind of goes through things. And that it's the refrain, that Sunday, Bloody Sunday, that really sticks in your head. The battle's just begun. There's many lost, but tell me, who has won? That's a great question, huh? In wars and violence, who really wins, all right? No one really wins in the fundamental, breakdown of it. Just a really good song. I think it shows them in a raw, they're not the finished product. It's 1983. And, I don't even necessarily think Larry's the best musician in the group, but I will once again point out that driving drum is what makes this song. It gives it that edge that it has to it. They could have used the edge, no pun intended, to bring that, and he does a little bit, but I think Larry with that drumming brings it more, which having that kind of military theme to it, I think that works better with him choosing that way, instrumentation. And then the electric violin, Steve coming in on that thing and just really banging that thing out nicely. So enjoyed that one for sure. Enjoyed it a lot more than I did when I was 11 or 12 years old. And here we are. I'm not going to reveal it yet. This is the real question, and if you are a diehard U2 fan, you probably have these songs at 1, 2. I'm not going to assume that exactly for you, but I'm going to guess that most of us probably have these songs 1, 2. So it just becomes like, what's going to pop up next on the screen? Well, 1 is not 1. 1 is 2, but that's okay. Here's what Gerard says. Off Octone Baby in 1991, another album we have a full review of. Go check it out. After the list, of course. Gerard says the most difficult thing about putting this list together was settling on what would be ranked number 1 and 2. I could easily swing back and forth on these top 2 songs, and I have never previously determined in my mind which I prefer. But as for something as important, you got that right, as a reactions to the classics top 10, I had to bite the bullet and finally determine what is my favorite U2 song. And to be honest, I found myself very surprised that 1 is not number 1. It's a great song. A simple and well-used chord pattern, which due to the minimalistic approach by The Edge, gives it a very original feel. The guitar work is very well married to the backing arrangement and the prominent bass guitar line. As I've already said on many of the songs, Bono's vocal delivery is just great and really serves the song perfectly. The lyrics, though at first glance seem superficially straightforwardly joyous and uplifting, which of course they are, especially in the chorus, but in the verses in particular, it's ambiguous, a struggle and contrast of darkness and light which lend themselves to repeated listening and consideration. The melody and vocal line is so catchy. I've included a link, and I'll put that below in the description, which I hope will be added to the description of this video showing how the song was born. In the recording sessions while jamming on another song, the idea sprung forward and identified itself for further scrutiny after hours and hours of hammering, grinding, reshaping, and polishing, more like a blacksmith at the forge rather than a fisherman sitting at the riverside waiting for a song to bite. It was born of work and sweat rather than divine inspiration. The video shows really brilliantly how a great song is born and the work it takes to grow from the seed of an idea to the finished article. That will be linked below, and I did watch it. It's fantastic. This is what I had for it. Released as a benefit single for AIDS research, 10 in the U.S., worldwide hit, number 36 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, their highest ranked. In 2003, Q Magazine named it the greatest song of all time. During recording sessions in Berlin, conflict arose between the band members over the direction of U2's sound and the quality of their material. Tensions almost prompted the band to break up until they achieved a breakthrough with a improvisation of One was written after the band members were inspired by chord progression that the Edge was playing in the studio. The lyrics written by Bono were inspired by the band members' fractured relationships and the German reunification. There was melancholy about it, but there was also strength. One is not about oneness, it's about difference. It's not the old hippie idea of let's all live together. It's a much more punk concept. It's anti-romantic. We are one, but not the same. We get to carry each other. It's a reminder that we have no choice. Those were Bono's words, not mine. The reason why they were struggling so greatly is in 1987, the Joshua Tree took off, right? And then they come out with Rattle and Hum in 1988. And while it sold really well because it was riding the momentum, in that time we were all going to go buy the CD of the follow-up to a massive band and a massive album. It did not have nearly the success, and they actually met with a little bit of critical scorn for it. And so now here we are. It's 3 years later. It's 1991. We're at Octone, baby, and we've got to decide how we are going to diversify our sound. And that's kind of what caused all that. That was all free to you. That's not in the research. That just comes out of Sean's head from all that research I did for Octone, baby. Enough of me. Let's get to One, which is not one, it's two. One coming in at number 2. I will tell you what. Think what you might of Bono, but he absolutely makes this song, the different vocal inflections, the control, he just really hooks you in and you believe everything that he says. The songwriting is obviously fantastic too. Is it getting better? Do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you? Now you got someone to blame, right? Everybody's looking for someone to blame. You say one love, one life. When it's one need in the night, one love, we get to share it. Leaves you, baby, if you don't care for it. Then did I disappoint you? Just the way he says it, or leave a bad taste in your mouth. And the chorus, well, it's too late to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other one. And I think the overarching thing that you can really draw into that as an anthem is, look, all over this world, not just in the country, there's much division in my country, in the United States. Politically, there's much division and racially and all of that stuff. But honestly, at the end of the day, we are all one, right? We're all created as one, depending on what you believe about God and those sorts of things may shape what you think on that. But for me, I believe we're all created as one, and this world has divided us, and we've allowed that to happen. Then the next chorus, one love, one blood, one life. You've got to do what you should. One life with each other, sisters and brothers. Then he goes into that one life, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other. Just great and really hard not to put this at number 1. And I know many of you go, how could this not be number 1? But I will say, I actually going to back my man Gerard up here. I do believe it's close, but I do believe he got this one right. Number 1, which many of you have probably already guessed, I would think, With or Without You, off the Joshua Tree in 1987. He said, for as long as I've known U2, I have assumed that One was my favorite song of theirs, and it really would have been, except that recently I've listened more closely to With or Without You. Possibly while considering this list, there are a number of aspects of the song that on more attentive listening elevate it further in my mind and just bring it above One on my list. Lyrically, it is full of great imagery and metaphor, great couplets of contrast and revelation. It is amazing it's considered a love song, one that I've heard played at many a wedding. And of course it's a love song, the kind of tortured, mutually destructive, but bright, burning, illuminating love. Gerard writes so well, man. That inspires great art, but possibly doesn't signal a lifelong blissful relationships. He says he can't live with her and he can't live without her. That doesn't leave a lot of room for much else and doesn't suggest a happy future. The production of the song is great, despite the fact it gets loud towards the end. I would describe it as minimalistic production. There's a lot of empty space between the instruments, although it's hard to describe exactly what the atmosphere of a song is. The atmosphere of this song is perfect. I could not agree more. Bassline intro, which repeats for the whole length of the song, perfectly suits it. There's a razor sharpness to the bass tone, a razor that suits the cutting, torturous desperation of the lyrics. It's also some of the Edge's best work with U2. He holds back in particular on the outro and just lets that jangle delay ring out to the end of the track. Again, a kind of minimalistic, subtle approach. The final aspect that elevates a song is, again, Bono's vocal delivery. It spans the low, dark, broody opening verses to the soaring, expansive conclusion. One thing I've liked about it after repeated listenings is the constraint that he engages, especially on the louder, almost roaring sections of the song. Although he's almost roaring at times, he has his voice fully under control and in a certain sense is containing it. That's what I've talked about kind of throughout this. He's very good at that. That again marries so well with the desperation and torture of the lyrics and the minimalistic approach of the production and instrumentation. What a fantastic write-up by Gerard on this, but I do have a little bit to add. Rolling Stone 132 on the 500 greatest songs of all time. Group's most successful single at the time, becoming a #1 hit in the U.S. Considered abandoning the song as they could not find an arrangement they liked. So he had Bono and his friend Gavin Friday, what a great name, continue to work on the song. After Daniel and Brian declined to do so, Bono credits Friday with rescuing the song and rearranging it, believing it could be a hit. The song's fate was in doubt, though, when the Edge was sent a prototype of the infinite guitar. The instrument allowed sustained notes to be played. Listening to the backing track in the control room, Bono and Friday heard the sustained effect that Edge was creating with the infinite guitar in the other room. The combination of the two playing simultaneously caught their attention. The Edge immediately recorded an infinite guitar part in 2 takes. Bono wrote the lyrics while struggling to reconcile his responsibilities as both a married man and a musician. His passion to belonging to a musical act was often at odds with his domestic life. While writing the lyrics, he realized that neither facet of his life defined him, but rather the tension between the two do. He explained that the final lyric is about torment and how repressing desires only makes them stronger. You know, being a married man, a family man, a faithful man, and then being on the road and all the trappings of fame, you can imagine that. I know that was a long introduction to the song, but here's the thing. I think this is one of the 25 greatest songs of all time, so I had to do it justice. #1 on Gerard's top 10 U2 list, With or Without You. Well, there you have it, the iconic With or Without You. Every bit of this song works. Everybody is firing on all cylinders instrumentally. Bono, is the way Gerard so eloquently described it in the intro to this song. He is just next level on this song, just in the vocal control. He controls the entire song, much in the way he did in One, but this has to be done just right, and he does it. And he's written songs that have a lot more lyrics than this. This song doesn't have as many lyrics as you may think when you listen to it, because it has a nice intro and a nice outro, but it all works. And it is just, I can't live with or without you. And many of us have been in relationships like that in our lives where I'm so happy with you, but I'm also miserable with you, but then I'm miserable without you. It's just a no-win situation. I think verse 2, through the storm we reach a shore. You give it all, but I want more, and I'm waiting for you with or without you. I can't live with or without you. My hands are tied, my body bruised. She got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. You can't win either way, right? And so what a great song. I cannot pump this song up enough. And now we're to my top 3 songs. I always try to pick 3 favorites off a top 10. Sometimes I cheat a little bit and pick 4. But I'll say this before I get into that. Before we get 100 comments below, I am going to ask you to comment your 10 favorite or what was missing. But just handle it with kid gloves, because it's very difficult to take someone with the catalog that U2 has and put 10 songs on here, and we get comments sometimes, I can't believe this wasn't on it. Well, I know, I get it. There's going to be 10 songs that people can't believe that were on here and weren't on here, and 10 songs that they can't believe were, and all that, and I get it. For me, I would have 6 of these 10 songs on here. So I think Gerard got it right, and I'd have the top 6. Maybe not in that order, maybe in that order. I don't know. I haven't put a pen to it, but I think you did a really good job on this, Gerard. My 3 favorites, I fanboyed out over Where the Streets Have No Name. Obviously, I told you With or Without You, I think, is one of the 25 greatest songs of all time. And I think One is not far behind that. So those are my 3 favorites. Not a big surprise there. Thank you, Gerard, for this massive undertaking. Really appreciate it. And thank everybody for watching. As I said, let me know what your top 10 is below, or what you think might be missing in the comments below. Appreciate it as always. And until next time, I will see you.